here in CPAC Mexico City. It has been such an exciting day filled with energy and lots of great speakers. And we have a very special speaker joining us today, someone who is our friend, someone who we shared a lot of time with. Matt, who do we have with us?
So as we've taken this CPAC journey across the globe, one of the most exciting places to have a CPAC was in Brazil. And Mercy was with me, Senator Lee was with us, and I mean, these people chanting fake news, chanting men are men, women are women. They totally got what was going on around the globe. And the person who's our partner and really our friend, Congressman Eduardo Bolsonaro, great to have you in Mexico.
Thank you. My honor to be here with so good people, our friends of the United States. Thank you.
I don't know who's friendlier, the Brazilians or the Mexicans. I'll let you guys figure that out. But
Well, apparently when it comes to soccer, there seems to be a big competition.
Yes, sure, yes. I think Mexico, they have a great team. They are going to the World Cup now. And let's see what is happening.
What's wrong with Brazil?
Brazil's doing good in soccer too. We have a chances. We have a good team too.
So you just gave this great speech up on the stage, which is right over here. Eduardo Verástegui, our partner here in Mexico City, has put on a great show, but you have a very important message. Brazil just had a very troublesome election. We have a lot of controversy in America about the way we're conducting our elections. Give our viewers just a brief overview of what's going on in Brazil as people are taking to the streets, millions of people, because they think something's wrong.
Yeah, you have a lot of problems in this election in Brazil. You have a court that acts like a political party. They forget about the constitution. They made a lot of things against Jair Bolsonaro and in favor of Lula campaign. For example, Jair Bolsonaro was even forbidden to do live streaming from his house. To do live stream, you don't necessarily get out from your house to go to the social media. This is unbelievable. It never happened in the history of Brazil. This is one point. The other point is, in my opinion, the number one is the machines. In Brazil, we use machines to vote. And this is a problem because...
When did that start?
In 1996. Okay. And this is a problem because it's a black box. You have to trust in the system. There is no way to even try to recount, you know. And for example, we have a lot of evidence that things went wrong with the machines. So who is responsible to open an investigation about that? The electoral court, whose members are justice, biggest part of them are justice from the Supreme Court. And they say, no, everything is okay with the elections and go home and that's it. So in Brazil, we have the same feeling that you had in the United States after the 2020 election. Like we feel rigged and there is nothing much that we can do. That's why people is on the streets now for 18 days.
Wow.
One day after the election, people went to the street and Matt, no one were calling the people to go to the street. They went by themselves, like asking to, please, we cannot.
They know something's wrong.
What do the people, those millions of people, by the way, you're barely seeing any coverage of what's happening on the streets of Brazil, nothing in the United States.
Because the American press isn't covering it.
So let me ask you, what is their message? What do they want? What do they want to see done?
They want, you have a lot of messages coming from the crowd. Number one, they don't want a criminal again back in the presidency of Brazil. And we even have a law that is forbidden. If you are guilty, if you went to the prison, you cannot run for the next 80 years.
Oh, there's a law?
There is a law. There is a law.
How did that happen?
Because one of the justices of the Supreme Court, his name is Edson Fachin, he released Lula and said that the main thing is he was sued in the city of Curitiba. And the right city to be sued, it was in São Paulo or in Brasilia.
Right.
So all of his process went back from the ground, from the zero.
Yeah.
So for the courts, he's like just as clean as us here.
Yes.
So he could run again. This is unbelievable. So that's why in the end of the day, people know that he's a criminal. And he's only now running for president and got elected because the system run it in favor of him unfairly, but run it in favor of him.
Right.
And it's compulsory voting in Brazil, right?
It means automatic, everybody...
You cannot use, you say mailing?
No. It's everybody is mandated to vote.
Oh yeah, yes.
You must vote, and if you don't vote, you're fined.
Yes.
So you have a big turnout.
Yes.
But the problem is there's no transparency on that system, and you can't get an audit of those results.
Yes. This is the problem. That's why I say evidences and not proofs. And we tried for the next at least 2 years, we tried to approve a bill in the Congress to have the printed vote. So we put a printer aside of the machine and you vote through the machine and then you have the printer.
And then you sign it, right?
Yeah, you have a lot of forms to do that, but anyway, it's a way to at least recount.
Yes, no.
And if you have a doubt and if something is happening, you could have a way to audit that.
Yes.
But the Supreme Court didn't let it go. The president of the Electoral Court, because at that time it was a justice, his name is Barroso, he went to the Congress in a clear interference in the legislative and asked for 11 presidents of political parties to vote against that.
Wow.
Remembering that the justice of the Supreme Court, they judge all of the politicians when they commit crimes or whatever.
You also talked about in your speech about how people are being canceled on social media. So if you question something about the election, something that happens in America as well, you're
Canceled.
cut out. Canceled.
Yes, you have 10 congressmen that they do not have their social media. And one special case of a lady, congresswoman, his name is Carla Zambelli. This girl, this woman, she even doesn't have her WhatsApp. She's blocked WhatsApp by a decision of the president of the Electoral Court, because everything that you say, when you say that, oh, I don't know if the elections was okay, then they say this is an anti-democratic act, and they block you from social media.
Anti-democratic
Are you
act.
worried? In America, we have never jailed our former presidents. We've had impeachments, we've had political conflict, but the feeling was if we start jailing our political opponents, the former presidents, you have a big problem. Are you worried that this new socialist government will come after your father, come after your family legally?
I'm sure they will do that because they are doing that. One day after the election, the whole wonderful mainstream media, they start to say that it was necessary a punishment for Bolsonaro. For what? Because of the deaths during the pandemic. Oh, he delayed the vaccines, he made this and that, it was wrong, he should go to jail because of that. And in Latin America, it's getting fashion. Because if you look to Venezuela, they have it. If you look the former president of Bolivia, she's on jail for 10 years.
Wow.
For what? Anti-democratic acts. So this is the new narrative that the left wing are creating in the region to put their opponents in jail and to censor the opponents. They are criminalizing the conservatism.
So I got to ask you, you talked about the wonderful media that we love so much. They're obviously, they have been against your family from day one. They've tried to stop you every single way. How do you deal with that fake news, with that media that keeps pushing these lies about your family?
It delivers a lot of work because when you start the day, you know that you have something that you need to clarify and the truth have to comes up. Because other way they kill your reputation.
Yes.
If you do, that's why censorship is so bad, because if they censor you, you don't have a way to fight back. And everything they say, it will be the truth, because it will be the only one version that people will know. And after that, they come for the books, for the kids in the schools, and then they will create this great story that Che Guevara is wonderful, Fidel Castro is a Democrat, and all of that you know better than us.
So we went down to Brazil and we had a great CPAC, first in Sao Paulo. Your father spoke at the next one. I wasn't able to go to that. I was really sorry about that because of all the ridiculous Chinese Corona stuff.
You both help us a lot. Please.
Well, no, but
we have to.
And you help us. But the point is, Eduardo, now that this terrible travesty has happened with your election, CPAC becomes more important because it becomes an organizing force for all those wonderful people across Brazil to demonstrate that they think the current president and his regime got power corruptly, and I'm sure they'll do other things that they don't like. Do you agree with me? Like, this is the point where CPAC really has to get muscles in Brazil.
100%, because telling the truth, there is no way to the left wing till they dominate the political scenario. There's no way. And CPAC is the right place to you talk about that, to you connect and gather with other conservatives and say, oh, this is a strategy, let's go. This is the way to have elections integrity. You know, that's why it's so important, CPAC. And that's why I'm so great. Thank you. Because you help not only Brazil, see, we are here in Mexico and you're doing the same thing.
He needs to tell this story, if you're free in March, we're going to be back in Washington, D.C. You need to come up.
Yes.
And you need to tell
But
the
bring
story of what's
baby,
going on.
Okay?
Yeah.
And your beautiful wife. But I do want to ask you, you talked about communism, and it really touched my heart. You talked about that communism, that we thought it was over after the Cold War, but they evolved, they changed.
They never stopped.
Tell us about that. Why everyone thought, oh, we're fine after the Cold War, but then in reality, it only got worse.
Because it's a movement.
It's not an ideology, it's a movement. See, I was listening to your speech.
In Spanish. So this is something that we have to learn with them. Yeah? They never give up. They are always trying to get the power again and again, because they will not go to the private market and work and have a regular life, as we only want that. What do we want? I want to have Christmas with my family, I want to travel on my vacations, have a car, and that's it. The left wing, they want to have the power to control your life, to rebuild and redraw all the society. So these people, they are crazy, so they never give up. And there is a lot of ways of communism, socialism, progressist, whatever. In the end of the day, it's the same thing, and they will bring and deliver murders and poverty for the people.
Okay, so Spanish, Portuguese, English. You got a few other languages that you can wheel out here when you need it?
No, that's all.
I mean, I don't know. You got all the skills to kind of like take care of this internationally.
All I know is walking through the streets of Brazil with Eduardo, he was like a superstar. He would like shake
Kicking the
hands,
soccer
talk
ball.
to everybody. He was great. No, you really are so inspirational, I think, for the people of Brazil. What happens next? What can we expect to see happening in Brazil in the next months?
I don't know. I can't tell you what is coming up, because I really don't know.
Yeah.
People is on the streets. We don't know what is going to happen.
Right.
January 1st is when the date where supposedly Lula will take office. But anyway, only to give you a small a sample of what is coming in Brazil. 11 days after the elections, Lula started to speak as an old school communist.
Yeah.
So talking about the taxes, talking about the social, assistencialism, and all of that. Only Petrobras, our public company of Brazil, that takes care about the oil in Brazil, only Petrobras lost $30 billion in its value in the stock market.
Oh my gosh! After Lula.
And people, and now the specialists, the people, they are looking forward and increasing, the prognostic for inflation. So Brazil will copy the Argentinian way or the Venezuelan way.
Sad.
Very sad.
Please tell your father, first of all, tell your fellow citizens that we're praying for Brazil. Tell your father we appreciate his bold leadership, because it made an impact not even in your country, not just in your country, but all over the globe. And tell him we want him to keep fighting.
Yes, for sure. No, it never ends. That is something that I learned with you in the United States, is the things never ends in the next election.
Yes.
And we have decades to work in that.
Y hay que seguir luchando. We got to keep fighting. We got to stay united and keep growing this conservative, and we call it freedom movement, really. And Eduardo Bolsonaro, always a pleasure that you join us on CPAC Now, America Uncanceled. Thank you all for watching.